All right. Good morning, good evening, I guess, depending on where you are. My name is Matt Lance. I'm Associate Director in the Office of Admissions. I'm going to be helping out with the chat this morning. So we've got some of our experts on campus to cover a lot of different topics about being a student and also being a student from India. So we'll cover a lot of things. We'd like to get as many questions, from you guys as we can. So feel free to put those in the chat whenever you have an opportunity. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Santana to begin with. So everybody's going to do some introductions, and then we will get right into some questions. So Santana, you want to start off?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. I know it's an exciting time for all of you as you and your families take on the next step in your major step in your education process. So we're excited to host this live chat tonight. I'm Santana Naidu. I'm the VP for Marketing Communications. I'm originally from Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu, but I've lived in the Terre Haute community since '97, so almost for 28 years or so. And I've been at Rose for the last 5 years. So cool.
My name is Nakul Mittal. I'm from Gurgaon, India, and I'm a freshman computer science major right now. And I'm really, really happy to be here.
Hi everyone, good evening. My name is Sriram Mohan. I'm originally from Chennai, same state as Santana here. I've been in Indiana for about 25 years and for about 18 years at Rose-Hulman. I'm a faculty member in computer science and software engineering, and I currently serve as the department head. Looking forward to chatting with you today.
Thank you. So we'll dive straight into some of the questions that we have so far. And again, as Matt mentioned, please feel free to submit questions along the way as we're chatting. But maybe Nakul, we can start with you. You're a first year student, almost finishing up the end of your first year. So can you talk about what your first year has been uh, coming from India?
Yeah, I think Rose has been able to provide me with such good memories of at least my freshman year when it comes to the friends I've been able to make over here. Being an international student, it wasn't like it was a little nervous coming over here. The whole process of starting an education in another country was kind of scary for me. But I think the way that everyone came together to be able to um, help people gel together and be able to make friends with each other, I think that was something that was really, really nice. Along with this, I think all the professors that I've had till now, whether it's the math department or the physics department or the CS department, everyone has been able to help me to try to be the best I can when it comes to my academics. And then I think everyone, whether it's my classmates or my floor mates, everyone has come together to try to help me when it comes to trying to be a better person and a better student over here in my first year. So I think I love it right now.
Good. Well, I'm glad you're off to a good start.
Mhm.
What's one big surprise for you at Rose?
I think one big surprise is the number of let's say friends I've had over here, which is kind of scary. As I mentioned, that I wasn't expecting something like this, but I think the orientations and everything that Rose has is something that's really helped me overcome that kind of fear and realize that this is turning out to be better than I ever thought it would. Along with this, I think the curriculum that Rose has been able to teach me till now has been exceptional. I think I'm learning skills that I was surprised to learn that in my freshman year of computer science, and I think it's something I know I will be using a lot after graduating from here as well.
Sure. What about the Indian community? Have you made friends from
Yes,
India or
definitely.
the US?
Yes, I typically I would want to mention the South Asian community and SASA, which is the club on campus for South Asians, who come up with new ideas for events and everything, which help international, especially South Asian students, come together and be able to bond with each other, because we all share the same experiences, the same culture. So it's really, really nice to see the events that they've planned, and it's lovely to see the amount of people who come here, not only from the South Asian community, to the events that these guys plan. And it's really nice to see how people at Rose want to come together with each other's cultures and want to know more about each other. And I think having Indian friends over here is something that really helps me connect back to my roots, connect back to back home, because it gets lonely sometimes. It gets you kind of miss the feeling of how it was back home. So I think that really helps me, reminisce those kind of moments.
Good. We'll give you a break and go to tomorrow. Can you tell a little bit about Rose-Hulman experience? We're not in the semester system. So what is a typical year at Rose looks like for
Sure.
a student?
So we say we are on a quarter system at Rose-Hulman. So technically, every student needs to be here for 3 quarters. The summer quarter is optional. We offer some classes. You don't have to be there, but fall, winter, and spring. So fall typically starts towards the end of. Is that what you're looking for
Yes.
here?
Yep.
Okay. Fall typically starts either towards the end of August or first week of September. It varies a little bit on a year-to-year basis, but really what you're looking at is 10 weeks of classes. In between those 10 weeks of classes, you typically have a 2 to 3 day break right in the middle of fall. So we start on a Thursday, and then somewhere in the middle, we have like 2 days off. So we have 10 weeks of classes, and then you have a week of finals, and then students have a week off. That week off typically is around, in the US is around Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving is typically a week off. It's one of the major holidays in this country. So everybody takes a week off, and then we start our winter quarter. I think that's where Rose is a little unusual. Our winter quarter is we do a little burst, like typically 3 to 4 weeks, sometimes 5 weeks before Christmas, and then we take about 2, maybe a little more than 2 weeks off, and then we do whatever is left of the 10-week winter quarter. Again, we have a week of finals, a week off for winter quarter break. That's winter quarter typically ends, depending on the year, towards the end of February, first week of March. And then we begin spring quarter. We have 5 weeks of classes typically, and then a week off. Last week was our spring break. A lot of students travel within the country for these. I know a lot of the Indian students had gone to, I believe they went hiking in Zion National
Yes.
Park last week. You hear things, students walking by, I'm like, and then we have 5 more weeks of classes, and then we typically end around the end of May. And then this is when students typically go for either internships, summer research experiences, be it on campus, off campus, and some students just want, you know what, I've worked hard for a year, I'm going to take the summer off and relax a little bit. But if students are interested, they can take classes during the summer as well. Most of our summer classes are offered online. So if a student wants to come back home and want to get a little bit ahead, or maybe do a little catch up, or take an advanced elective or something they are interested in, they can take it back home during the summer as well. And summer we have 5-week options or 10-week options depending upon the student's schedule.
Thank you. Another question was around, I know we talked a lot around access to faculty in small classrooms and how our classes are all taught by 96% are our PhDs. So can you talk a little bit about like what is that like? And I find it fascinating, like your own office hours, for example, like you have open hours for students to come in. So how do students interact with faculty, kind of what you've observed?
So the computer science software engineering department is a little bit unusual. We have fairly informal relationships with our students. People call me Sriram. That's really what it is. It's usually the freshmen and like, really, I can call you by your name? Sure, unless you want me to call you Mr. Mittal, call me Sriram. So, and that's typically how I am. There are a lot of people in the department like that. But the one common philosophy we all share is we are here because we want to work with students. We enjoy working with students. So I have defined office hours. The students are guaranteed to find me in my office, but I usually say I'm going to be in my office outside of the time. And when I'm in my office, I'm not in a meeting, my door is open. If you have a question, come on in, answer the question. Sometimes students come by because they genuinely have a question about a class. Sometimes they just come in and tell me what they did last weekend, or it's just a way of enhancing that interaction, that collaboration, that makes it so when the student has something or they're in a situation where they actually need help, they feel comfortable approaching you to ask that question. Our class sizes are very, very small. We have about the current freshman class like Nakul's class. We have depending upon how you count the first majors, second majors, we have anywhere from 90 to 100 students in the computer science and software engineering department. What that means is we don't have a class where all 100 of them get in. I don't think we have rooms that fit 100 people for class. Most classes are about 24 students. That's the average size of a class in the computer science department, at least at the intro level. Maybe there's a class or two that goes to 25 or 26, but typically it's about 24 students. What that means is if we can keep a close eye on students, and most of the first year and second year classes, freshman and sophomore classes, as we call them here, also have in-class teaching assistants. So there are people available to help. So once the instructor showed you how to do something and it is your turn to work on either a lab or an assignment or some in-class activity, the instructors are typically just walking around to help. But there's still 24 of them and there's one of me. So we do have people inside the classroom who've been trained to help students, and they do come in and help the students as well. So what you will find is there are several opportunities to ask for help. You can go talk to the instructor, you can talk to the TAs, we have a learning center, we have the sophomore residence tutor program. All of these resources are available for you to ask for help. And we encourage students to ask for help because we want them to get comfortable with the fact that there are things that you're always going to have to learn. Some things you can learn by yourself, but it's good to acknowledge there are going to be times I need help. How do I do this?
Thank you. What about, do you have any comments from a student perspective of what Sriram mentioned?
Yeah, I think it's just, coming to Rose, I wasn't really expecting like a small class size. Like I knew I was coming into college with like a small class size, but I didn't know how well I would like gel in with it. Because every time I would think about college, I would think about like a huge lecture hall with like 100 students in it. But I feel like the small class sizes really help me build a very good connection with like the people in the class as well as the professors, which I feel like helps me a lot because like even after the quarter ends and I'm taking a different class, seeing the professors in the hallway, like being able to talk to them and like give them like a little update on how you're doing and like how getting to know how they're teaching their next class and everything. I think that's something that really makes me feel good, and like I feel like the small class sizes is what's being able to make this possible. Along with this, I think office hours become easier. You being able to build this connection with your professor allows you to like really freely go into their office hours and like ask them about any doubts or anything you might have. And I feel like it really helps me as like a student to be able to learn the topics as well as build connections, which I know will last for a while.
So what about, yes, go
I
ahead.
just want to touch on the connections bit a little bit, because one thing that happens regularly at Rose is alumni reaching back out and saying, hey, do you know somebody who I should be hiring for this particular position? The size of the class, the connections that Nakul was talking about makes it easy for me. Oh, I had Nakul at this point. He really likes working in that area. Here is his email address. You should reach out to him. And like just yesterday, student actually from India stopped by to say, hey, thank you for making a connection to a company. And so they are interviewing. He's interviewing right now. So
Well, staying with that, and I'll come back to you in a second about outside classroom activities, but actually one of the questions that were submitted was around placement and what kind of opportunities here, and specifically, even if you can talk about CS department. I know in the past you've mentioned, kind of the pathways that CS grads go, and even outside of programming, going into manufacturing industries, et cetera. So anything you can touch on?
So we have students all over the place. Even if I limit myself to just students from India who are continuing to work here after their graduation, we have students at all the big software companies, you name it. We have a student there, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Tesla. Actually, there's this girl from Mumbai who is in Tesla right now. So and what they do and where they end up to a certain extent depends upon their interest, because some students want to stick around the Midwest, so they end up in places like Chicago, here locally in Indianapolis. We place a lot of students in Kansas City because Garmin, the sports watch company, they have a lot of, that's one of the main locations, Garmin, Honeywell, so we have a lot of students there. But then a lot of students want to navigate to the coast, the East Coast or West Coast. We have Google is a big player in that area. We have students working for Google in Chicago, New York, and of course, San Jose, as well as Seattle. I forgot perfect. Right? It's headquarters there for a second. Again, the same. It really, to a certain extent, at that point, it depends upon what type of job you're looking for, what type of company you're looking for. I know there is a little worry about CS companies, CS, and the placement rates. I think the CS market continues to be as strong as it is. It's, I think, what you're finding these days is students need to do something on their end. There was a point in time 3 years ago you could just stay in your residence hall room and the company will come and recruit you. I think that has changed. You do need to go to the career fair. You need to do that. But if you are interested and you do the things you're supposed to do, I think by the time you all graduate, I don't think there's going to be any problems at all.
Thank you. So what about outside of classroom? You talked about like, professor support and all that, but how do you manage academic workload? What do you do for fun?
I think I think we all know that Rose is like a very rigorous curriculum, but for me personally, I've been able to really like make it easier for myself by like really interacting with like my freshman floor. I think the fact that we have sophomore advisors and our resident assistant really makes stuff really easier for you to be able to connect more with your floor. Like every single time I feel like I'm getting a little burnt out with like the work or anything like that, or I have like a lot of assignments and I feel like I need a little bit of a break, I would like go into someone else's room. I think Rose-Hulman's like open door policy when it comes to like freshman halls is like something that I feel like is a game changer when it comes to like being able to walk into anyone's room and like strike up a conversation with them, or like ask them to look at something you might be going wrong on, and like ask them for help on how to solve it. I think all this is like really helpful. But apart from that, I think the clubs we have on campus are some things that many students really like to do. I personally just like to interact with my freshman floor, go on floor dinner almost every single day. For people back home, floor dinner is like a regular event where the entire floor goes out to dinner together. And I think it's a lovely place for people to like connect with each other again, and like I think building memories, and knowing that I'm building memories is something that really helps me take my mind off the course work. But even then, I think the fact that we have, the CS labs, which I know everyone praises, we have the library, we have different like places on in the academic buildings where you could work, the union. I think getting a group of friends to go there and like really work on a certain assignment with you is something that I feel like makes the job easier. And I feel like it makes these tiny things make it much easier to manage the load when it
Sure.
comes to
I know
loads.
you went skiing with your friends, but what else have you
Yes.
done?
Yes, the ski trip was, I think, 2 months ago, but then that was really fun. But apart from that, I think the Saturday night, the Saturday evening, Saturday dinner thing that we do where the places on campus are closed, so we all go out together to some restaurant. I think that every single time that happens, it's been very memorable. But we're also planning to go to Holiday World for sometime, yeah, sometime before the year ends, and I think that's going to be really fun. But yeah, I think small events that happen like on a weekly or monthly basis when it comes to our floor. Like I remember playing campus golf around campus where we just like hitting tennis balls and like just making sure we don't hit anything and like break something. But I think that was really fun, and I think such experiences just keep coming together. And yeah, I think it's really nice.
Have you done any of the SASA bonding events or?
I haven't yet.
Okay.
However, like I've been to a lot of the events. Like I went to the whole Diwali thing. I remember the first thing that they had on Speed Beach when like
Mm-hmm.
it was like getting to know each other. I went for that as well, getting to know like all the Indian students and like South Asian students. I think that was really fun.
I guess along those lines, you grew up in a big city in India. What has it been like coming to Terre Haute, and how you kind of felt around the community?
So Terre Haute's a very safe, and Matt and I live in the same neighborhood actually, and so do you. So, Terre Haute's a very safe neighborhood, a safe part of the city. I haven't really felt like out of place or anything over here. And Rose especially it still amazes me, like coming from a really big city, that students just leave their bags lying around with each bag has like a $2,500 laptop in it, but it still bothers me that they do that. But as Nicole said, doors are always open. It's very safe. I've always felt very comfortable here, and I like to spend a lot of time outdoors. And the park system in this town is really, really good. I mean, the park system in this town would be really, really good in a big city, let alone a smaller place like Terre Haute. And uh, just like Nicole said, there's a group of friends that go out for regular lunches and dinners. Faculty do the exact same thing. People who work here. When I joined 18 years ago, the group of people who joined, we still do our regular lunches and dinners. We just try to avoid places where the students are going, so everybody needs that space apart. But I, I did not anticipate that I would spend my life in a small town, but it's actually been really, really refreshingly good. Like when I come home for a visit, it's like, oh, it's nice. I want to eat something at 12 at night. I know I can just pull up an app and somebody will deliver the food. Yeah, you may not be able to do that at 12 o'clock at night here, but then again, I also don't miss the hustle and bustle of, oh, there's always something I need to do here. It's a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more calm, and I do enjoy that. So,
Thank you. I think,
Yeah.
are there any questions?
Yep. So we had one that was submitted in advance, and I think we had sent to Sriram, so we'd have a heads up that it was
Okay.
coming. But the question was, can you comment on the likely impact of recent federal fund or federal policy changes on RHIT's computer science students in getting research funding or internships or placements? So how's any of that? Do you have any, I guess, response to that?
to the best of my knowledge, I haven't seen any of that affecting our current students. The reduction in federal funding for research experiences has not really impacted our students. Students are still continuing to apply for, and it's the ones who are graduating and going to graduate school, they're still applying, and a few of them have gotten last year students who took a year off from industry and they're now applying to grad school. One of them did get an NSF research fellowship. The students who've gotten the NSF research fellowships have retained it. Students are looking for research experience opportunities. There was like a month or two where there was a little bit of uncertainty as to what was going on. Is there money still coming? I myself have an NSF grant and I wasn't sure for a while what was going to happen. But by end of April, I think a lot of those things have been resolved. The grants continue to happen. The program I'm associated with, the National Science Foundation, is continuing to fund. It's continuing to look for proposals. So I'm not that worried about the changes to federal policy affecting funding for student research. Jen may be able to answer a little bit more about its effect on students going through the OPT or H1 processing. But from a job placement, it really we have seen international students get jobs. I know a couple of students from India who are graduating, who have accepted full-time positions, who are going through the process of converting themselves from a student status to OPT and then eventually to H1. So there is a lot of talk. I would worry less about the talk and more focus on the actions. From the actions perspective, I am yet to see a direct impact on our students at Rose-Hulman. Yes, there are students and other universities who've lost their visas. I haven't heard of a case here.
My name is Jennifer. I work with Center for Global Engagement, and I will be working with you through the I-20 process as well. And Rose-Hulman has not seen any impact of student visa cancellations or statuses. Everything seems to be, we're keeping a close eye on everything and monitoring things as you know, things come up. But there has been, actually, I can honestly say zero impact at this point.
I guess while we're talking to Jen, I guess one other thing I'd also mention is if you are an admitted student and have paid your deposit, by now you should have received an email from Jen, her full name is Jennifer McClure, about I-20 and if there's any missing documents. So please check your email if you have deposited and have not received any communication from us, from Jen. Please let Matt know. You would have Matt's contact information, and Matt can put you in touch with Jen or ask any questions related.
Let's see. So we had another one come in says, can you talk a little bit about the move-in and orientation process for new international students? So if you want to talk a little bit about what that was like, I know obviously the international students arrive a little bit earlier than the domestic students do. So if you just want to talk a little bit how that experience was for you and what move-in was like and that kind of stuff.
I think the international orientation was like a really good way for us to like learn about how the culture in America is, kind of like the laws and everything as well. I remember we had like seminars when it came to like um, kind of like the basic laws and like the kind of campus policies that they have, and I think that was really really helpful because I know that there were a lot of things that were different from India and coming over here to Rose-Hulman. But apart from that, it was like a really good place for us to get used to or like comfortable with being on campus. And I think being with people who share the same kind of experience, who may have the same kind of nervousness coming into this, like coming into college, it was a really good way for us all to like calm down and like just have some fun
Sure.
before the students from America came. And I think even then, the new student orientation, which starts off when everyone comes back, is something that was really, really fun. I remember our sophomore advisors and resident assistant like planning events for us to better get to know each other. And I think it's the movement process is also pretty easy. Like there's like a whole crew that helps you in moving in and making sure that everything in your room is the way you want it to be. They're also great people to talk to while they're like helping you move your stuff in to like get to know how their experience at Rose has been. And yeah, I have my parents come here to drop me off, and even then, like being able to talk to those people while they were helping move my stuff in and other people's stuff in was something that was really really nice and like helped me feel reassured about my decision to come here. And yeah, I feel like it's a really really smooth process, and I was kind of skeptical in the beginning of whether it'll work the way people like claim it works, and I can clearly say it does, if not better than what I thought it would.
Sure.
And yeah, I think it's just a very smooth and like good process to help you get accustomed.
Thanks. One thing I would add from an overall timeline to what Nicole said about how the process or experience was for him, an overall timeline would be about the second week of May, roughly speaking. All the deposited students would get a housing survey from our student affairs. So that's what students would fill out, pick your hall preferences. Uh, and so the hall preferences are given on a first come, first served basis. So I would strongly encourage you to do your research now and be prepared whenever that opens. Normally within the first hour, there's like 100 plus submissions come in. And again, those get the first preference for their halls. So you would pick your or submit your hall preferences in early to mid-May, whenever the date is from Student Affairs. And you would find out about your hall assignment sometime in July. And the reason why it takes so long is they want to make sure all the student submissions have come in and they do the best possible way to match with your roommate and not keep switching around. And so that's one of the big reasons for a delay. So you'll find out in July sometime what hall you'll be in and who your roommate is and start communication. As Nicole said, international students come in on Tuesday with the families. And so students will have, especially on Tuesday later in the day and Wednesday, Thursday, international students will be busy with orientation. Parents, most of the time, will be free, so you're welcome to explore Terre Haute, drive to Indianapolis, which is only an hour away, or uh, Bloomington, where Indiana University is located, or West Lafayette, Purdue, if you have any friends, others to visit. Wednesday and Thursday would be good days, and Friday, all the domestic students move in. And Friday later in the day and Saturday is kind of the combined orientation with everyone. And Saturday afternoon is when parents say their goodbyes and head out, and the students kind of still have programming
Till
to
Wednesday.
classes. Yeah, still Wednesday, and classes start on Thursday.
The one other thing note I'll add is that Friday, when the domestic students show up, the afternoon of Friday, there's what we call academic open houses, where all the departments, the faculty, we're just hanging around, talking to families, talking to prospective, not prospective, At that point, you're not a prospective student, you are our student, talking to the students, answering questions, pointing them in the right direction. And so that's a great chance for families to also talk to us. And then it's either the Monday or the Tuesday, because it depends on whether Labor Day here is the first Monday. So Monday or Tuesday, the students will have after the families leave, the students will have a 1 hour meeting with their academic advisor. And at that point, their schedule gets finalized. We'll begin the process of putting them in classes early July, August, but that meeting 3 days before classes start is the last opportunity for the students to say, I think I would rather take this class or that class. And then the academic advisor, if you're a CS student, most likely will, but starting next year, about 90% of our CS students will be advised by CS faculty in their freshman year. And then once the faculty members have been assigned as your academic advisor, you tend to retain them for 4 years.
And would you say that from a planning perspective, that international students, when they come in on Tuesday, you will be busy and will be on campus for the rest of the time? Parents or families will have that Wednesday and Thursday free, so you should be here on Tuesday to help move in. Friday and Saturday, you should be here on campus. Saturday, you'll be leaving, but you'll have a couple of free days.
Yeah.
Is that,
Okay. Awesome. So talked a little bit about housing. There was a question that asked if there was housing available beyond freshman year, which there is. I think usually we have about 3/4 of our sophomores that will live on campus, and then somewhere between 50 and 60% of the upperclassmen. I know a lot of times, especially international students, ask about the housing options, and we talked about safety, on campus, and I think that's always a good opportunity to continue to live on campus. Are you planning to live on campus next year?
Yes, I'm currently living in Percopo.
Percopo, yep, perfect. So Percopo is a sophomore residence hall. So primarily sophomores are going to live in there. They have some extra academic support and things like that built into Percopo, because a lot of the sophomore curriculum is going to be almost entirely focused in whatever major you're in. And so the ability to have a little bit of extra academic support, some tutors, things like that within Percopo, I think is really beneficial. And then, there's still 3 buildings for juniors and seniors on campus that are apartments. And so a lot of students will find people that they want to room with and stay on campus. So I think one of the nice things, we've talked about the community and a lot of things like that while we've been in here, but almost all the students are going to be around campus, right? So people are not living primarily off campus. They're not going to be separating from campus after classes are done. Everyone's going to be around, for the most part. So I think it does kind of keep it as kind of a very good opportunity to not have people leaving just because they're living off campus. You're going to have plenty of friends to study with, even in the evenings, or do IMs or, competition teams or whatever it might be. So housing options are definitely going to be there, while you're on campus. But if you choose to live off campus, there are options close to campus as well in terms of apartments, things like that. And then obviously, like Sriram talked about earlier, the Terre Haute community is pretty safe, especially close to campus. It's easy to get to, easy to navigate and that kind of stuff too. So
do you want to also talk about the freshman first year student options, since there are like 3 different kind of tiers, if you will, kind of, which is new to us?
Yeah.
Or do you want me to talk? Okay.
You can go through it if you'd like.
So for first year students coming in, you'll have 3 choices. So kind of there's the standard choice and price, and there's a number of halls. There's BSB, what we call triplets, but there are 3 halls. So that's your standard choice. They're all air conditioned. And then we have 2 other tiers. One is slightly higher price tier, but it's a brand new residence hall that's opening in August. We haven't even had a full finished tour yet. So if you want to be in the new residence hall, it's slightly higher price. But then we also have another hall called Deming Hall, which is priced slightly lower than the standard pricing. And Deming is not air conditioned, and it's all voice, and so that's kind of the 3 different.
It does have centralized heat, though. So
Okay, that's right. You're not freezing, but you might be hot.
So, and don't try to ask a current freshman student what the best hall is. They are religiously devoted to their halls. They have chants and songs, and that surprised me. Like at freshman orientation, you always singing songs about your residence halls, and you want to talk about, did you do greatest floor?
Yes, I did
You
greatest
might
floor.
want to
Yeah.
mention about greatest
Tell us
floor.
what it is.
24 hours of just events and fun. Um, I remember my software advisor really hyping the whole event up and me just being like, I think it'll be good. I don't think it'll be that good, but it was like really, really, like, it was just exceptional. Um, it's basically 24 hours where every floor, um,
In
in the
every
residence,
hall.
yeah, in every hall, and even I think commuters and alumni as well, compete with each other to like in a series of like fun events to try to see who the greatest floor is. We didn't win, so I would say that there was something rigged in it. I think it's a really, really fun competitive thing, where you're in this kind of like a funny competition with the other floors and people especially. And yeah, again, same thing as Rose has always done, like another good way to bond with your floor over like fun activities and puzzles and like fun events which I could have never imagined I would do at Rose. So I think really, really fun event that I was happy to be a part of.
And when is it?
Greatest floor is sometime in the
Winter
winter.
quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
December.
I was surprised at the number of students who fly back, alumni who fly back to participate in greatest floor. Man. That's a level of dedication I did not expect.
A very unique thing, right?
Yes,
And
very unique.
yeah, and like Knuckles said, it's a different event every hour for 24 hours,
Yes.
right? So there's a very wide range of things the students are going to be doing. So each floor has to find what students are good at what things, and so that way they can try to win each event based on what a student's talents are. And the nice thing is every year they do different events and they plan different things, and it pretty much is going to hit on something that different students are good at, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's athletic oriented or puzzle oriented or whatever other things. There's lots of different things that they'll do, but it's not just a certain type of event. It's going to cover pretty much anything a student could be good at, which is nice that it gets everybody involved.
Yeah.
This past year, I still remember, I think it was January this year, because I'd come back on a Saturday because came to pick something in my office. And we have a few alumni who work for us. They converted their offices into escape rooms.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm like, what is going on here?
Yes, yeah, it's a very, very cool thing. Cool. So, what? So another question came in. What has surprised you most about your experience so far? So I guess it's kind of a two-part thing. What surprised you most about your experience at Rose?
Mhm.
Okay, and then what has been the biggest surprise about moving to the U.S.? So can be two different things, right?
Yeah. So I would say about Rose would probably be the amount of support that everyone gives you, whether I mentioned before it's like the faculty or like your professor or classmates, floor mates, resident like the res life. Everyone just comes together and really like helps support you, which I kind of expected, but I didn't expect it to be to this extent. So that like surprised me a little bit. And I would say another thing about Rose is the curriculum is so focused on knowing what students would need after like graduating. Because I know the CS department has this program where like freshmen have the choice to like get a CS mentor essentially.
Mhm.
So I did that whole thing, and I got a senior mentor, an SE mentor who really like helped me when it came to like just making sure I was doing well when it came to like the whole CS curriculum. And just hearing him talk about his experience like kind of surprised me on how well I think the Rose CS curriculum prepared him for like a job that he's like planning to do after Rose. And I think it's the placements that people talk about. That there's another thing that is mentioned on the Rose website, but like seeing the people that going into these companies, like a really good feeling to like hear about that. And I think moving towards the question about moving to the US, what surprised me, I think how welcoming the whole college was. Whether it was the whole freshman floor that like comes together. Like I think walking into BSB2, I think I can look at anyone and know, and like we would know each other, and like there would be a lot that we've been able to, like memories that we've been able to create together over the first year. And um, I think professors as well, when they come and like help you, knowing that you're an international student, like sometimes they would ask you that how are you doing in your classes, like how are you finding everything over here. And I think the Center of Global Engagement like does a really good job of like helping us stay up to date on like any documents we need to submit, or events when like students are on break, and like some international students may choose to stay back on campus. I think events that they plan are something that really make you feel like you belong here. And I know because I was attending this live call last year, and I I know what the students behind the camera are feeling right now. And I felt the same way, but I think it's really, really welcoming. It's a lovely, lovely experience. I think ever since I sent my deposit till now, I have not regretted my decision to come here at all.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So, I guess since you were in the student seat last year, right?
Yeah.
Other than your family, what's the biggest thing you missed about home this year?
I would say the food, but
I mean that was my guess, but I just want
Yeah.
to see what you would say. So, is there anywhere? I know I've heard that Indianapolis has some.
Yes.
Is it where would you go? I guess to get food similar to home.
I think to get Indian food, it would be this restaurant called Kashta Mandap, which
That's
is
what I
in Terre Haute.
expected.
It's either that or Taj Mahal. I know we have two in Terre Haute. And I think, yeah, we just recently, I think on Sunday for dinner, the whole like floor went out to Kashta Mandap to have food, and it was like really, really nice to have that kind of food again after a while. But I think the Bone, like our cafe in the Union, does a really good job of like incorporating global cuisines. So sometime I would walk in and I would see like it's butter chicken or like some other Indian thing, and I'd be like, yes. It's been a while, but
Yeah.
I think food. Sometimes I do miss the whole kind of city vibe, but I was talking to my sophomore advisor about this last night, and he was like, Terre Haute is like a lovely place. You just have to get lost once. So when you get lost, you really like you find a lot of great places. I think Rose-Hulman and ISU being in the same kind of like town, it's like really, really helps you know the places around both these campuses to be very catering to college students, so you get the kind of like vibe that you would want from like a city. So I wouldn't say I missed that too much, but I would say that the campus that we are on is like so beautiful in general. Like there's so much to do on campus as well. Whether you could go down to the SRC, or which is the student recreational center, to like whether it's like the gym. I know me and my friend have really been using the golf simulator as well. You could go to the Union because like there are a lot of clubs that have a lot of events being planned. I think almost every day. So I think all that like really makes me feel like I sometimes don't even miss back home. It's like
Hope your parents are
Yeah.
not watching this.
I do try to talk. I do try to talk to them every single night, but yeah, I genuinely haven't felt like I've been missing out on anything ever since I've come here.
And you can also go to Indianapolis. Obviously, you need
Yes.
to drive. There's not a public transportation from here, but you can pick any kind of Indian cuisine even you want in Indianapolis to Temple and everything, which is about an
Bloomington.
hour away. Yeah, or Bloomington, yes.
Awesome. All right, so I think we're gonna kind of wrap things up. Anything else from the panel? Anything? We've covered a whole lot of stuff. So if there's anything else that you'd like to share, this would be a good time to do it.
All I'll say is you'll find my email address online. If you have a question, feel free to reach out. Happy to answer questions.
Yeah, I hope one of you could like send them my email ID as well. I would love to like talk to them or their families or anything to let them know, because I think another thing I would really mention when it comes to like freshman housing is I think the Rose website does a really good job of like letting you know what kind of hall offers what kind of features. However, I would suggest going like doing a little more research, like going on Reddit to like hear what previous students say, and finding like what kind of hall fits your personality, because I think that's what I did. And I remember the housing survey form coming out and knowing that I had to fill it out fast. I remember in under like 30 seconds I had the form submitted with BSB, and I'm so glad I got BSB. But
I
yeah,
did see that question posted on Reddit I think it was last month, somebody asked, and then it became a competition between the other men saying, no, fine, this is where you need to go, that's where you need to go.
Yeah.
yeah. But I think one thing I would like to finish off by saying is that it's a lovely, lovely place to be. Whether it's like the academics or like the sport or just like the whole kind of experience that Rose-Hulman's been able to give me in my first year, I think I would not have it any other way. And I've certainly not regretted my decision to come here. In fact, I've thanked God a number of times for helping me come to this college. And like, yeah, I think it's just been exceptional, and I think everyone is gonna love it. Like whether you or your families, everyone's just gonna have a lovely, lovely time here, and I think you guys are gonna love it. Yeah.
Thanks, Nakul, and thanks, Sriram. And I think everyone watching really appreciate your time, and we're excited about the possibility of welcoming you on campus this fall, and we hope to see you here in August.
Good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.